Do you think that your parents will never understand your video editing career? Do they think what you're doing is a joke? Do they think what you're doing is not a real job? Are they actually actively telling you to go and get a real job? I've been in your exact same position before. Countless members in VP Plus, my private members community, the biggest private members community in the world for freelance video editors, have been in the same position, and they've done everything from outworking this belief from their parents to literally bribing their parents with cold hard cash. I want to give you guys receipts. I want to give you guys literally screenshots of members of our community bribing their parents to show them that this is a real career path. And today we're going to dive into it. I'm going to give my first-hand experience as well. So if your parents think that what you're doing is not a good or viable career path, let me actually agree with them. Okay, that might not be what you expected. So we'll get on to something better in a second, something you'll probably like a bit more, a formula to change their mind, which ultimately we will do. But in theory, parents want what's best for you, right? So they don't want you to fuck up your life. Sorry for my French, but that's just the truth. Now, because they don't want you to fuck up your life, because they do love you, ideally, in theory, right? They usually want to steer you towards the safest possible path that has the least risk, so that you achieve a somewhat decent life and you're stable and you can probably outgrow them and essentially live a good life. Now, the problem with that is that to have an extraordinary life, to have a life worth living, to have a very, very enjoyable, excessive life. Excessive might not be the right word, but I assume if you're watching this, you want more than just your average 9 to 5, you just about get by. I assume you don't want that. Cool. I didn't want that either. I've now created a life that's, to me, extraordinary. I'm very happy with my life. Cool. There is no reward without risk. Risk and reward are tied hand in hand, which means if you go this kind of safe path, so to speak, that parents, by no fault of their own, right? Parents, if you're watching this, that makes sense. From a risk-reward perspective, you actually don't want your kid to take many risks. You're like, risks can actually be very sketchy. You could be in a bad situation. This could be really bad. I want my kid to have a comfortable life, to do well in life, which is admirable, and I get it 100%. But a lot of the kids in the internet right now, you see everybody crushing it, so you want more. Awesome. To get more, you do have to take more risk. More risk equals more reward. It can also mean nothing. But throughout what we're going to talk about today, you can probably swing the odds in your favor. For me, I definitely didn't get nothing, and I took a lot of risks. So let's go ahead and think about this, right? In my early days, did I have belief from my parents? Well, my dad never even understood what I was doing. Still to this day, he doesn't understand. He understands I'm doing well, but he doesn't understand what I'm doing. So let's bypass my dad for a second. I love you, Dad. Let's talk about my mom. Now, my mom has always been encouraging of things that I'm trying to do. She's always been excited, but not at the expense of the traditional path, aka go to school, get the degree, get your kind of safe version of events ticked off, right? And then worry about the other stuff. Cool. Now, in England, we have a very interesting thing called the 70% attendance rule, right? I grew up in England. Don't let my accent confuse you. I was born in the States. Then I moved to England when I was 10. I'm now 26. I've lived longer in England now than I lived in America. So I used to be called American Jack in school. Now, if I could, now if someone tried to call me American Jack, I'd be, bro, I'm British Jack. Get out of here. So I'm kind of half-half. Transatlantic. But in England, when I was at school, we had a 70% attendance rule, right? I wanted to stay home all day long and make YouTube videos. I was actively yelling at my mother saying, I'm going to blow up on YouTube. I'm going to blow up. I just need more time. I don't want to go to school. School's for idiots, and I don't want to go to school. I know what I want to do. I want to make YouTube videos. I want to blow up on YouTube. Now, that obviously wasn't the most compelling sales pitch to my mother because it involved too much risk and too much luck and blowing up on YouTube. What even is YouTube, right? That's the kind of thought process, which I get 100%. But we had the 70% attendance rule, which meant that if you drop below 70% attendance, the school starts sending letters home to your mother, it would be to both your parents. My parents separated when they were young, so I was in a one-parent household, right? So they're sending letters home to my poor mother, who's barely putting enough, money up each month to even be able to afford 2 sons, me and my younger brother Josh. And she's scared because every time my attendance is coming close to 70%, remember, I'm not trying to go to school. I'm trying to make YouTube videos all day long. It was a constant battle every single day for my mom to get me out the door to go to school, okay? Because I'm so sold on making YouTube videos, right? So every time we get these letters, your son's approaching 70% attendance. If he dips below 70% attendance, this is like child abuse. That's straight up what they say in England. If you dip below 70% attendance, they start sending your parents letters and say, why isn't your kid coming to school? Is there problems in the household? Do we need to send a social worker over to investigate the household? Is there something wrong going on? Which I get, because in certain cases, there really might be some bad things happening at home that are causing the kid not to go to school. And that would be a good reason to send social services over or whatever. In my situation, my poor mother is an amazing parent, but it was tough to get me to go to school because I physically didn't want to go to school. I would skip school. I'd make up any, bullshit reason. A lot of you guys are probably in a similar position or have been, right? So what this created was a situation where it's a constant battle, and eventually I do drop out of school. I dropped out of school at 17 years old, and here is how. How did my mother come around to allowing me to drop out of school? Well, here's the kicker. I got results. That was it, okay? My YouTube channel blew up, okay? I got, I say blew up in comparison. I got about 87,000 subscribers on YouTube doing gaming videos. So I became kind of like a local name, to be honest, right? I won't even say like a local celebrity. That seems a little bit too grandiose, but I was a local name. People knew Jack Cole makes YouTube videos. A lot of the like younger years in school, all the kids watched my videos. Kids would come up to my mom in the supermarket and be like, hey, the dad would come up with his son. Hey, you're Jack Cole's mom. Like, my kid's been trying to reach Jack. Could you get him to check his messages? Like, please, he's a big fan. So it was a thing. And my mother was aware it was a thing because these moments in the supermarket were happening, okay? And those were big shifts. Like, I remember we were even out to eat pizza one night at this restaurant called Rumors. And, the kids on the other table are kind of looking over. They're looking over, what's going on? We're kind of feeling like they're staring at us a little bit. The mother comes over. Hey, sorry to interrupt your dinner. Our kids are a big fan of your son. Could they take a picture? Right? So this is when I'm 16 years old, okay? So there were signs that were very obvious to my mom, to my dad, to my parents that showed something's happening here. Even if you as a parent couldn't really understand the concept of like what a video is and what a subscriber is, like that's kind of like, evaded them, right? But you could still get the concept of something's happening here. People are coming up to me in real life and saying, can your son respond to a message or can we take a picture with your kid, right? So there were obvious signs that showed something's happening here. When I was 17, I said, Mom, I need to get out of school right now. Like I've got something happening here. I need to quit school because I'm going to have all day long and I'm going to blow up even more. And eventually she was like, okay, cool, you can drop out. It makes sense. And I dropped out of school at 17 years old and I didn't look back. Great, fantastic. Now, what was the key there? And I'm going to get into the video editing version of this with some screenshots. In fact, one of my students in VP Plus, absolute killer, just sent his parents $6,500 collectively, $4,000 to his dad, 2.5 to his mom. I'm going to show you those screenshots in 2 seconds. So let me wrap up my own experience. But what this showed to my mom was something real is happening here. There is a real job here. It has real world impact. So that was one way that I showed my parents this is real. This isn't just some fictional thing. You have to make it real to get your parents to believe editing is a real job. And in my case, something even harder. Content creation is a real job. Me as a content creator, you have to show them that it's real. Awesome. So let's jump on. Absolute killer VP Plus member. In fact, we did an interview the other day, probably about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now, something like that. Now, in that video, talks about dropping out of school at 18 years old as well. So he dropped out a year after me, and he's on an amazing career path. He's making like 10,000 euros a month right now at 18 years old. Absolute killer. Joined VP Plus, I think making about 1,000, 2,000 bucks a month max. He's now like, 5x'd it. Killer. Absolute beast. So, literally had minimal belief from his parents because they didn't get what editing was, right? Especially his dad. His dad's super old school. His dad was like, what the hell are you doing, Joe? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what is this thing you're doing every single day? And the dad was right because the dad has no concept for like editing content on the internet. When the dad was coming up, there was no editing, there was no internet, there was none of this, right? It's a completely new concept. So it makes sense that they're skeptical. That's like, I want you to guys understand, that's the right approach for them. They want what's best for you. They love you. They want you to go on and have a successful life. They don't want you to be a complete failure. Dropping out of education in their day led to failure. Not doing a proven career path led to failure. So they are literally in max risk mitigation, max take no risk, push your kid to the safest possible path so they just don't end up a fuck up. They're not really trying to optimize for you to be a massive success. They're trying to optimize for you to not fail and faceplant in life because they don't want to raise a kid and have all of their hard work go to nothing, right? Which makes sense. They want a good life for you. Awesome. So What does Juh do? Well, first Juh goes to work. He puts a lot of effort in. He uses that as motivation. He says, well, my parents don't believe in it. I know through VP Plus, I know through the internet that people are killing it out here. They're doing well. So I know I can do well as well. Awesome. So he goes on to put a shitload of work in. He lands a bunch of clients. He starts having record months. This is what Juh's kind of previous month has been like. Literally this month right here. He gave me permission to share this right now. So you could see like from the 8th of July to the 28th, in 20 days, this is about 12,000 euros of earnings right here. Juh has been putting up numbers on the board. Here's him in February, where things just started going crazy. He literally said, I just got assigned 360 more projects worth 10,620 euros. These are all like really small, like course videos. That's why there's so many of them. The deadline is 2 months, but I can do it in 40 days. He then does it in 40 days. And he makes 10 racks in 40 days. That was at the start of the year. Now he's still just crushing it without fail. 12,000 euros in a single month. He got 9,000 euros. All right, yeah, that was like one of these days. The 22nd, he got a bunch of checks that day. A bunch of things came through. He made like over 10,000 euros that day. And he absolutely crushed. Now, obviously, he's telling his parents at this point, he's telling them, this is doing really well for me right now. Like, I'm crushing it. But what does he do? Well, he starts to send his parents money. That's right. And Juh has literally come on our live sessions at VP Plus Monday to Friday. We host 5 live sessions a week, every single day of the week. He comes on and someone was asking us, what do I do to, like, make my parents believe? Juh just came on and said, bribe your parents, right? Hilarious. And he lives by this. So here's 2.5 thousand euros sent to his mom. Ritva Tolly, shout out to Ritva. Then we have Timo Hamelen, $4,000. He sent his dad $4,000. So Juh made it real. I want to relate this back to my core point at the start of the video. Juh made it real. He didn't have to make it real by kids coming up to his mom in the supermarket like happened for my content creation career. He sent his parents a piece of the pie. He said, boom, this is the real deal right here. Here's some serious cash. This is for you. Hold that. Right? And that made it real. So his parents believed. And that's literally it. Like, how to prove editing is a real job to your parents? Make it real. Either show them that you're making a shitload of money, show them that you've exceeded their income, literally give them fucking money, show them that it's real. Show them that it's real, and they will believe. Like, that is literally it. I want to give another shout out to one of our killers, Solomon, crushing it in Pakistan, came in 90 days ago, making nothing. Now he's doing $7,000 a month. I think the annual salary in Pakistan is like 3,500. So he's making like 2 annual local salaries a month. He literally said this to me in the DM, dog, here's the bike. My dad loves it. He bought his dad a new motorbike. And he said, I'm moving to a better apartment next week. You guys really changed my life. No, Solomon, you changed your life, bro. Absolute beast. Just such a beast, man. Such a beast. So how do you prove to your parents it's a real job? Make it real. My mom doubted me. She was right. She was right to doubt me. It was a bit of a grandiose, crazy thing to say. I'm going to blow up. But I made it real, and so she believed. Once I made it real, she believed. Juh's dad and his mom doubted him. They were right too, but once he made it real, they believed. Solomon literally borrowed money to join VP+. Solomon, who I just showed you that screenshot of, is making $7,000 a month after 90 days of VP+. He borrowed money to join VP+. He borrowed, it was $35 at the time. Now it's only $50 because we've launched 2.0. It's a much better program. Five live sessions a week, like literally so many courses, it's actually unbearable, right? It's like there's so much content. When you come in, you're gonna be like, holy shit, you've got days and days of stuff to go through. It's all super valuable. But Solomon joined 1.0 and he borrowed money to join, right? And locally, that was a shitload of money, right? In Pakistan, $35 is what, probably more akin to like $350, right? So he borrowed like a good amount of money to join VP, took a risk. No reward without risk or reward. And don't you think people doubted him? Don't you think somebody was like, bro, like, you sure this is worth it? Like, that's a lot of money, bro. Like, are you sure these guys aren't scammers? Are you sure this is a real thing? 100%. Probably his parents, right? But once he made it real, everybody believed. So how do you prove to your parents it's a real job? Make it real. Simple as that. That's the end of the video. Use code REAL and I'm going to give 3 people a 20% discount. That's right. If you like the sound of this and you want to get MVP Plus, you can get the first month for $40 instead of $50, but use code REAL. I'll only throw up 3 of those codes, so I jump on it right away. I jump on it right now. Links down below. And for anybody who wants to continue watching, click this video. I'm going to jump off your screen. Click this video. 3, 2, 1. See you there.